My name is Lorraine Whitaker. I was once the kind of mother who believed love could fix anything. I believed it when I worked late nights at the diner to pay for my son's braces. I believed it when I stitched his Halloween costumes by hand and cheered from the sidelines at every school play. And I still believed it even when I was sitting across from him at my kitchen table, listening to him tell me I wasn't welcome at his wedding. His name is Nathan Whitaker, my only child, the one I raised alone after his father left. He came by one afternoon, dressed sharply in a fitted blazer, smelling of cologne that didn't suit him. He didn't even touch the tea I brewed or the almond cookies he once begged for as a boy. Instead, he sat stiffly on the edge of my couch and said the words like they were a mercy. "I think it's better if you don't come to the wedding." He said it with a straight face. No stutter, no hesitation. Just a rehearsed line from a play I wasn't invited to. I didn't cry, not then. I looked at him, the man I once rocked to sleep, and wondered when my son became a stranger. What Nathan didn't know, what his fiancée Sierra certainly didn't care to ask, was that yes, I was dying. The scarf around my head wasn't for style, but behind my tired eyes I was still his mother, and I was hiding a secret. One they would never see coming. That day I let them smile for the camera, let them toast and pose and preen. And then I took everything back. I wasn't always this fragile woman wrapped in scarves and soft sweaters. Once, I was young, strong, and stubborn enough to raise a boy by myself in a house that leaked every time it rained. Nathan never saw the cracks in the ceiling because I patched them before he got home from school. He never knew the lights went out for 3 nights in a row because I used candles and called it an adventure. After Gregory, his father, walked out, I worked 2 jobs just to keep us afloat. Day shifts at the library, nights bussing tables. I came home with sore feet and swollen hands, but I never let Nathan see me break. He was my reason, my light, my only. Gregory didn't leave because I was hard to love. He left because he didn't want to love anyone more than himself. But I never told Nathan that. I protected his image of a father the way I protected everything else silently. I thought sparing him the truth was love. Over the years, I saved what little I could. I lived modestly, never buying what I didn't need. I reused tea bags, I hand-stitched my clothes. Every tax refund, every bonus, every spare dime went into quiet investments, property I rented out, a stake in a small salon I helped a friend open, a conservative retirement account that grew slowly but steadily. I did it for Nathan, so he'd never have to struggle the way I did. I had planned everything. My will was written. His name was on every line. The house, the bank accounts, the rental properties. Even the pearls he gave me when he was 12, I kept them in a velvet box with a tag that read "For Nathan's bride." I imagined the day he'd find it all. Maybe after I passed. Maybe he'd cry. Maybe he'd whisper "Thank you, Mom," and finally understand just how much I gave him. That was the dream. But dreams are fragile things. And that dream died the moment he looked me in the eye and said, "Sierra and I are going for a modern aesthetic. Minimal, curated, and your condition doesn't fit." In that moment, I didn't feel hurt. I felt clarity. It was the first time in my life I realized Nathan never saw me, not really. And if he couldn't see me now, he would never see what I built for him. So I stopped building. He didn't come alone that day. 15 minutes after Nathan dropped the line about me not fitting the aesthetic, Sierra walked through my front door like she owned the place. She didn't knock, didn't smile, just scanned my living room like she was flipping through a magazine, judging each item for whether it deserved to exist. "So this is where you live," she said. "It's quaint." Nathan didn't say a word. He let her talk, let her judge, let her belittle. I stood there still wearing the lavender blouse Nathan once complimented when he was 14, the one with the pearl buttons he used to play with as a toddler while I held him in my lap. I wore the same earrings he gave me for Mother's Day, a pair I hadn't dared wear in years. That day, I thought maybe it would mean something. Maybe it would bring him back to me. Instead, Sierra looked me up and down and said, "We finalized the seating chart, Lorraine. I'm sure you understand. It's about the vibe, the presentation." I glanced at Nathan. He looked down, pretended to adjust his shirt cuff. "She means you'll make people uncomfortable," he finally mumbled. "The scarf, the cough. It's just, it might upset some guests." There it was. The truth. Ugly, naked, final. They didn't want me there not because of my health, but because I didn't fit their idea of beauty, of perfection, of Instagram-worthy celebration. "I just want to see my son get married," I said quietly. "I can sit in the back. I don't need attention. Sierra's smile was all teeth and no soul. We can FaceTime you in. FaceTime. For the woman who raised him. I nodded slowly, not because I agreed, but because I finally understood. This wasn't my son. This was a stranger in a suit, echoing the voice of a woman who saw me as an inconvenience. Then came the blow that shattered everything. "This is why Dad left you," Nathan said. Calm, controlled, cruel. It wasn't an insult. It was a revelation. He hadn't just erased me from his wedding. He'd erased me from his heart. I didn't cry. I didn't shout. I just stood there, staring at the tea I had poured for them, untouched. Still warm, the cookies uneaten. Then I whispered to myself, "Thank you for showing me who you really are." And something inside me shifted. Not into anger, but into resolve. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't pace or scream into my pillow like I might have years ago. I just sat on the edge of my bed in my faded flannel robe, the one I used to wear when Nathan was in high school, the one he always teased me about, because of the missing buttons. The house was silent except for the slow tick of the clock and the hum of the fridge. My hands were folded in my lap. My scarf itched, but I didn't take it off. It was holding me together. I rose before dawn and went to the closet where I kept an old filing cabinet beneath my winter coats. It hadn't been opened in years. I knelt slowly, joints stiff from treatment, and pulled out the drawer with the label Final. Inside was everything: my will, insurance papers, deeds to 3 rental properties, bank statements with balances Nathan never dreamed I had. I sat on my bed and opened the folder. There it was in black and white, every asset I had ever earned, saved, or grown, all marked for Nathan Whitaker, my only child, my only beneficiary. Until that moment. I reached into the drawer of my nightstand and pulled out a gold letter opener. It had my initials --L.W. engraved on it, a gift from Nathan when he graduated college. I had treasured it for years. And now I used it to slice the will into quarters, then into eighths. When I finished, I felt lighter, like I had opened a window in a room that had been suffocating me. I called my friend Vivian Clark later that morning. Vivian wasn't just my oldest friend, she was also my lawyer. We'd sung in the church choir together when we were 19, watched each other bury parents, and dream big and lose things we thought we'd never get back. She picked up after 2 rings. "Lorraine," she said, voice thick with sleep, "you okay?" "No," I said, "but I will be. I need you to come by this afternoon. I want to rewrite my will." There was a pause. Then, "Is this about Nathan?" "Yes, he came by yesterday, told me not to come to the wedding, said I'd ruin the aesthetic." To Vivian didn't say anything, but I could hear the silence harden on the other end of the line. "And Sierra," I added. She suggested long-term care, somewhere quiet, peaceful, clean. "She means a nursing home?" Vivian said flatly. "She does," I replied. I took a breath. "I'm not dying today," I said. "Today, I'm taking back what's mine." And that's when everything changed. The invitation arrived 4 days before the wedding. It wasn't from Nathan. It came in a thick, cream-colored envelope with embossed lettering and a return address I recognized instantly: my cousin Bethany in Atlanta. She'd always been the family messenger, the bridge between bridges burned. Inside was a glossy photo of Nathan and Sierra, standing beneath a white arch draped in roses. Her dress hugged her like it had been sewn from a filter. Nathan stood with one hand in his pocket, the other resting possessively around her waist. They looked perfect, polished, cold. The card read, "We would love for you to join us in celebrating the union of Nathan Whitaker and Sierra Monroe. Quietly, of course. Please sit in the designated family section and respect the couple's wishes." It was an invitation to be invisible. But I accepted it. Not for them, for me. On the morning of the wedding, I dressed with care. I wore my soft gray suit, the one I always saved for Easter Sunday. I wrapped my head in a deep blue scarf lined with silver thread. I pinned a small dove-shaped brooch on my lapel, one my mother gave me when I graduated nursing school. My body felt small, worn, but my posture was steady. Vivian picked me up right on time, her navy pantsuit crisp, briefcase in hand. "You sure about this?" she asked. "I don't want revenge," I said. "I want closure, and I want him to see it before it's gone." We drove in silence to the vineyard, the road winding through rows of blooming grapevines and gentle hills. The venue was stunning canopies of white silk, chairs tied with ribbons, a string quartet playing Vivaldi. No expense had been spared. Except, perhaps, on love. I took my seat in the third row quietly, just as instructed. No one recognized me. To them, I was just an old woman in a scarf and gray suit, another distant relative from a forgotten branch of the family tree. The ceremony began. Nathan walked down the aisle looking sharp and proud. Sierra followed in glitter and grace, basking in the crowd's admiration. The officiant spoke of love and gratitude and honoring the ones who raised us. Nathan shifted slightly, but he didn't turn around. They exchanged vows, rings, a kiss. The crowd rose in applause. I did not. As guests trickled toward the reception tent, I turned to Vivian and gave her a single nod. She stood, walked toward the couple, and delivered 2 envelopes, one to Nathan, the other to Sierra. Then she turned back and returned to my side. "Done," she whispered. I stood slowly, cane in hand. Across the field, I watched Nathan tear open the envelope. I watched the confusion spread over his face, then disbelief, then panic. He flipped through the pages, the new will, the signed letters, the donation receipts. Our eyes met across the vineyard. I didn't smile. I turned and walked away. Let him have his perfect wedding photo. Everything after that? It belonged to me. They thought I died. And for a while I let them. A week after the wedding, the obituary ran in the Charleston Gazette, written exactly as I instructed Vivian. Simple. No photo. Just a quiet paragraph announcing the passing of Lorraine Whitaker, retired nurse, survived by no immediate family. There was no funeral, no flowers, no mourning dresses. Nathan didn't call. Neither did Sierra. I slipped out of Charleston 2 days after the wedding with nothing but a leather handbag, my passport, and one final letter left on Vivian's kitchen counter. It read, "It's done, thank you, don't follow me." I boarded a flight under a name I hadn't used in decades, Elaine Matthews, my grandmother's maiden name. I landed in San Mira, a sleepy coastal village in southern Spain where the air smells like oranges and salt and time moves slower than memory. I rented a small white cottage with blue shutters and a sunlit courtyard where I now grow mint, basil, and lavender. In the afternoons, I sit on the stone bench, wrapped in a wool blanket, sipping tea and listening to the birds argue over crumbs. My neighbors don't know who I am. And I prefer it that way. They call me Ellie. The woman with the kind eyes and the scarf, who keeps to herself but always smiles at the baker and brings fresh herbs to the flower lady every Tuesday. They don't know about the money I gave away. They don't know about the son who threw me away first. Back home, I hear things have unraveled. Vivian writes to me once a month with updates I never ask for. Nathan tried to contest the will. He failed. Rosa Hill Foundation renamed their main shelter building Whitaker Hall after my story went viral after someone posted a photo of me standing with the women I chose to help. The caption read, "She gave us everything her family threw away." I didn't ask for attention. But if my story helps even one forgotten woman remember her worth, then maybe disappearing wasn't an escape. Maybe it was the beginning. So in San Mira, I am not dying. I am blooming. Quietly. Freely. And far from anyone who ever asked me to shrink just to make room for their shine. Some mornings I still wake up wondering if it was all a dream. Did my son really say I was too ugly for his wedding? Did he truly look me in the eye and decide that appearances mattered more than love? Then I see the scarf draped over the back of my kitchen chair, the same one I left on the third row seat at his wedding, neatly folded like a signature. And I remember, yes, it happened. All of it. They thought I was gone. They mourned me in public, praised me in half-hearted toasts, and moved on with their lives until they realized I had written the final chapter without them. Nathan never got to say sorry, and I don't need him to. I didn't build a legacy for applause. I built it because women like me are too often erased, forgotten, edited out of their own stories. I wanted mine to end differently. So now I live in peace. I walk to the market on Tuesdays. I buy fresh bread and white lilies. I sit under a lemon tree with my tea and hum old church songs that only I remember. And sometimes, just sometimes, I smile knowing this. My silence said more than my presence ever could. And the scarf they left behind, let it stay folded. Let it whisper in every quiet room. She was here. She saw everything. And then she chose herself. And to every woman listening, if they ever try to erase you, make sure your absence is louder than their rejection.